Welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we will walk through from the array list in Java data structure. The array list class is an array-based implementation of the list interface. Especially all elements of an array list are stored in a Java array. For example, an array list name word has its underlying array of the size n. At this time, Word is capable of storing at the most n elements. So what will happen if we try to add n plus 1 elements to the words? We will answer it after taking about the common operations using array list. Here we have an example of the array list, and here I just import a class which is library which is java.util. We have the class name which is ArrayList, and here I just define the public static void main, and this is our main method and strings and arguments. Now here I just write array and the array list. So I just take array list as a string, and then I just define the object to it which is list. So new array and list here, and then I just write string, and so I just create the array list here. Now I am just creating the list of an array, so add, and here I just write the array list which is Fayaz. So I just add an object in the list which is the name of Fayaz, and list dot add, and here I just write Khan. Okay, now list dot add, and here I just write Daisy. Now here I just use list dot add, and then here I just write Fayaz. Okay, now I just traversing list through the iterator. So iterator which is itr is equal to list dot iterator. Now I just use while loop, and iterator dot has next boolean iterator, and then I just print this array. So system dot out dot print line, and the print line here is iterator dot next. So I just print this iterator, and now we just see the output for this code. So you can see the output here. So here in this example we just create an array list here after this main method, and you just add the object in the array list, and then we just traverse the list through the iterator. So the array list class use a dynamic array for storing the element. As you can see here, it's intends the object the abstract list class and implement the list interface. Here's some key point about the array list class. So in Java, array list class can contain the duplicate item here. You can see Fayaz and the Fayaz. And the Java array list class maintain insertion order. You can see here we have the insertion order. So the ArrayList class is not synchronized. so it is cannot synchronized. And Java array list allows random access because array work at the index base. You can see here in any array when you declare array, so it is work on the index base. So Java array class manipulations is slow. Here you can see array class manipulation is slow. A lot of shifting needs to be occurred if any elements is removed from the array. If you want to add remove any of the elements from this array, so we just do shifting for that, which is too slow. Let's discuss about the CRUD operations on the array list, means create, retrieve, upgrade, and delete. Let us write some example code using ArrayList class. So here I just write class and CRUD array list. Okay. So to use the array list, the concept of the generic programming is needed here. Simply speaking, you can think of the generic programming as working with a journal type of T, like this one, where T can replaced by any Java types such as integers, float, string, or even object. Note that ArrayList and the ArrayList T are different here. The former is equivalent to the array object. In the content of this lecture means I just speaking, array list always refers to the latter generic version. Later in this series we will learn about the generic programming too. As array list was designed to be generic, you must specify the type of the element that will be stored. For example, the declaration of an array list named word whose elements are of types of string. Here you can see it's an array and array is a list here. Then I just write string and word. So words which is equal to new array list, and then I just write string here and then close this code here. So we have the array list and then string words and which is equal to new array list. Since the word object is intended to be used as a list, so here we use this words object like a list. It is advisable to declare the word to be of types list string. Remember that you all through declare as list, the word object is still an array list. So here we have another. So here for that you can need a polymorphism concept. So I just write a words dot add, and here I just write Fayaz, or I just write word. Okay. So now here word is the, so I just write Fayaz, so it's better now. So we write word dot add Fayaz. So now word is Fayaz here. Remember that the words can only hold elements of the type string. If you try to add a double, so then you write words dot add and here like 2.0. Okay, so if you want to insert a string at the index 0, so you can write like words dot add and then 0 and here is string. Okay, so the word is now here is a string, and the word is here is Fayaz. You can see here we have the two words here. Now, if you want to access an element via indexed, so you can write like a string w, which is equal to words dot get, and then you can write 0. So you can get here means you can access an element via indexed. So now we just see example of that crude array list. So for that I just import a library which is import java.util, and it's java.util and array list. Now again I just write import java.util, and util is the list here. Okay, and it's a list here. Now I just define my main method, so public static void main, and then string arguments. Here in the argument I just create an object which is a string, and we have the string object which are words, okay, which is equal to new and array list, and then string. Okay, so before that main method we just need to write public static void and print list. So here I just pass list, which is string here, and then words. Now I just use for loop. So for integer I, which is equal to 0, and I is less than words, sorry, words dot size, and here I just write an increment operator. Now I just write system dot out dot print line, and the print line here is words, and then I just concatenate I here, and then I just close this code. So now here I just write words dot get, and get is I. So I just write a semicolon here, so I just remove this semicolon, and now just go to the main method. Now here we just append the word, so words dot list. Okay, and now here I just write college. So our word is now a college here, and this is a capital list L for a list, and this is also a capital list. So now you can see our word is, so it's add here, not a list. So our word is the school, sorry, a college here. So here I just write print, and the print is a list here, and then now I just write words, and then I just write words dot add. So we have the index 0, and I just write at. So we have two words now, which is college and add, and the index is 0 now. Now system dot out dot print line, and the print line here is insert via, sorry, it's via indexed. Okay, and now I just write print dot list, and list is the words here. Now after that I just write, so it's a print list, not print dot list. Okay, so after that I just write words dot set now, and now we have the index number one, and sorry, we have the index number one, and the element here means a word here is work. Okay, now I just write system dot set, sorry, system dot out dot print line, and the print line here is update via indexed. Okay, and afterwards I just write print list and then words. So we just insert, sorry, we just delete an indexed, sorry, we just update an indexed here, so it's words. And now first we just insert a index, a word at the index 0, and then we just delete, sorry, we just update the index, and then we just remove the index, and here is right remove, and the index is a 0 here. Now we just removes from the word at the 0 and the print line, and here is right remove via indexed, and here I write print list, and it is a words. Now I just check the output. So first of all, you can see here we just add a 0 index, a word on the 0 index, which is college. Then here a insertion printout is called, so insertion via index. Then the word on the index 0 and at, so this print statement will print it. So now we have the word which is on index number 1, and the word here is college. Now we just update that index, so we just take a 0 index at, and then we just update a word which is work, which is on index number 1. So this college is update here. Now we just remove via index number 0, so I just remove this work. So this is example of the array list with create, retrieve, upgrade, and delete. I just use a word in this lecture which is a generic programming. So what are the generic programming? Generic are the kind of functions for a variable and its type. Normally you make a functions for a task that you do a lot of, or instead of having to repeat the same code over and over again, you let the compiler and computer to do that behind the scenes for you. Generic do the same thing. Expect for data structure, let's say you want to make a linked list of 10 integers. Then later you want to make a linked list of a string. In the most languages, mostly in Java, This means a lot of the same code gets repeated twice, and this means twice a much typing, and that there is twice as many places you can make a typo that break your program. Not so good means this lab generic programming is not so good. Even object oriented programming is better than generic programming because we just create an object in the object oriented programming and we have the code reusability. But when you make a generic type, you tell the compiler that this is how you make a linked list. Then when you want a linked list of an integer, you tell the compiler make a linked list of an integer. Then when you want a linked list of a string, then you tell the compiler to make me a linked list of a string, and it does all the work while you get on with your life with probably most coding. There are also things called generic functions. There, these are the functions for a variable's type that are also functions for a variables. What is mean is that you define a generic function by telling you a compiler, this is what I want you to do with the data I put in the function, but without telling it a lot about the data itself. That that's why you when you want to use the generic functions is declare it's reduce what you want to do with the data and does the work to try to get the function to work correctly behind the scene. So this is the generic programming here. So thanks for watching this lecture.